yet shall you live. Life is life. It doesn't matter how long you've been dead. So he weeps. Then said the Jews, behold how he loved him. They just got it all backwards from beginning to end. He did love him, but that's not why he was crying. And some have said, could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused even this man should not have died? Now their true colors have come out. Jesus therefore again groaning in himself cometh to the grave. It was a cave and a stone was laid on it. And here's where we go. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha said of him that was dead, Martha, the sister of him that was dead, said unto him, Lord, by this time he stinks, for he's been dead 4 days. Here's where we go. Jesus' responsibility in your life is what?
Bring life.
Bring life. Show up with life. Bring that life and set it in your life. Set it in your situation. What's your responsibility? First thing, what did he tell him to do? I lost my spot. Take ye away the stone. You take away the stone. What was the stone doing?
Keeping life from coming forth.
Well, no.
Keeping us thinking.
Yep.
Preserving death.
Exactly.
Hey.
Preserving death. It was hiding the death and the smell of that death. It was hiding dead, rotten flesh. See, what did he say to him? You take away the stone. The stone is a hiding place or a place of safety. And what does he tell you? Move the stone away. Roll that stone away. Slide that stone out of the way. The thing that's making you safe and hiding the death in your life and hiding the stink of your life and the stink of your flesh, get it out of the way so life can get into that death. So this death can be exposed. How many of you want the death in your life exposed? You want the dead, rotten flesh in your life exposed. Everybody could go, oh. Because when they rolled the stone away, can't you see the crowd back there? And there's the tomb up here. And they weren't big tombs, but everybody going, oh, look at that. Ooh. Yeah. Wow. That flesh is bad. He got bad flesh. Man, it stinks in there. Your life stinks. Wow. And they start talking about you. But it doesn't slow us down. The first thing that's your responsibility, roll the stone away. It's time for us to move the stone out of the way. Life has shown up and life said, quit hiding behind a stone. Quit hiding your death. It's time to make it possible that your death can come to light. You walk in the night, you stumble. You walk in the light, you don't stumble. What is he saying? Let's take the stone out of the way so we don't live in darkness. We don't live in death. Everything is exposed. God, here I am. I'm moving my stone out of the way. But first you got to identify what's the stone. What's the death in your life? What's the fear? What's the torment? What's the thing that grips you? What's the thing that, oh God, if this happens? What's the thing that will cause you to lose control of your life? If I lose control of my life, what's going to happen? That's one of the biggest stones I've ever seen. Is people controlling their own lives. If I do this, if I walk with God, what happens? I don't know. And we sit there controlling our lives and we rot and we rot and we stink and we rot and things get bad and they go from bad to worse and they get worse and we get to where we can hold on to it for a little while. But what happens? Once decay and decomposition starts, I mean, the worms come in and the bugs come in and the flies are there and things start feeding off of you. I mean, you just start feeding all kinds of morbid and gross things. Eventually, your flesh turns to water and dust, and your insides explode, and all kinds of good things happen. I guess I don't know there because they were mummified. They were wrapped up tight. So I don't know if all that's going to happen, but eventually, all kinds of bad things are going to happen. You get my point? To turn this thing around, we've got to move the stone away. Jesus has shown up with life. Our job, number one, take the stone away. Where am I? Verse 40. He stinks. Verse 39. He stinks, for he's been dead 4 days. Jesus said unto her, said I not unto you that if you would believe, you should see the glory of God? He said it. He said it again. Now he's here to demonstrate. He's got enough power to withstand unbelief. He stinks. The situation only bothers us. It doesn't bother him. The circumstance does not affect him in the least. It only affects us. Because he said, if you'd only believe, you'll see the glory of God. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you've heard me. And I knew that thou hearest me always, and because of the people which stand by I said it, that you may believe, that they may believe that you've sent me. And when he had said thus, and when he had thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, come forth. Now, what kind of situation? Well, let me read 44. And when he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound with a napkin. Lazarus, come forth. What happens? The life does what it's supposed to do. He brought life. We rolled the stone away. He said, now, come forth in life. Well, wait a minute. How can Lazarus come forth? He's bound, hand and feet. He's got a face around his, he's got a napkin around his face. He came forth. In other words, we have to start walking in resurrected life, even though we're bound. Your hands are bound. You can't work for God. Your feet are bound. You can't walk in the Spirit of God. Your face is bound up. You can't see. You can't breathe. You can't do anything. But he came out nonetheless. What does God require of us? When he says, come forth in life, oh, I can't because things are really bad. He doesn't care. You're bound. Guess what? He knows you're bound. He's not at a loss from beginning to end. Our responsibility when he says, come forth, start walking in resurrected life. Well, I can't walk. Fine. Hop. Hop in resurrected life. I forget who it was. It might have been Arthur Blessed. And you've heard me tell the story, but it fits perfectly here. That if the Lord tells you to do something, to get up and get on a plane and go somewhere, if you can't afford the ticket, drive. If you don't have a car, ride a bike. If you don't have a bicycle, walk. If you're paralyzed, roll your wheelchair in that direction. If you don't have a wheelchair and you're stuck in a chair, point yourself in that direction and fall that way. If God tells you to do something, whatever it is, if all you can muster is a fall in that direction, you're still moving in the will of God. Resurrection life has shown up on the scene, and he says, now, walk in resurrected life. But I'm bound. And we're more concerned with being bound than we are in having the life of Jesus in us. I was dead. I'm alive. That should do something. That man should have been doing somersaults or something. Rolling out, hopping out, jumping up and down, moaning like a crazy man. I was dead, now I'm alive. If God has put his resurrected life in you, how much has it changed you? Are you hopping? I'm bound, but I'm hopping. Everything looks bad, but I got a life in me that I never had before. Are we living in the resurrected life? Our job is respond to that life. He says, roll the stone away. Fine, the stone's rolled away. He says, come forth. Okay, I'm coming. I've got resurrected life and I'm moving now. But I'm bound. I can't do anything for God. I can't really walk with God. I can't see anything. I can't see the things of the Spirit. I can't smell, I can't breathe, I can't do anything real good, but I can hop. He said, come forth, I'm coming. Because he tells us to come forth, because at some point, we're not going to be bound anymore. Lazarus came forth, and what happens to Lazarus after all this is said and done? I've already said it. He was a living testimony to Jesus. The third thing that Jesus said, and is our responsibility, loose him and let him go. Loose him and let him go. It's time to begin to remove the grave clothes that we have. To take them all a piece at a time. What are the grave clothes? What are the things that keep you bound up? Habits, traditions, sins, hurts, memories, justifications of things we've done, or attitudes that we have, or reasons that we're doing things. Whatever keeps us from walking with Jesus, keeps us from working for Jesus, keeps us from seeing the will of God, keeps us from breathing in the breath of life. Whatever it is, he says, now loose him and let him go. Take the grave clothes off. God shows up, Jesus showed up with resurrection power and resurrection life. Our responsibility, and he gave it to us, our responsibility, what's killing me? Move it out the way. Expose this sin. When he says start walking, you start walking. It doesn't matter how you look, how you smell, what's going on in your life. I'm going to walk with Jesus. Does that mean I'm going to expose my sin to the world? No. That means, God, here I am. I'm now moving. You said you're the resurrection of life. You've given it to me. I was dead. I'm now alive. It's time to start acting like it. Lazarus got up and started acting like it. And now, start peeling away the grave clothes. They used to wrap them up tight. It may take a while to get rid of some grave clothes. But eventually, Lazarus was set free and was a walking, living, breathing testimony to the power of Jesus, as to what Jesus can do. He was so much a testimony that in John 12:10, but the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death. How many want that tag on you? The power of God is so real, so alive in me, that they're trying to put me to death, not just Jesus. That's power. That's walking in resurrected life. Because every day Lazarus could look in a mirror or look in the water or look in whatever they looked at themselves in and say, I am a walking resurrection and power. I am a walking resurrected life. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. I was dead, I'm alive. In your life, you ought to have the same statement. I was dead, I am now alive. I had all this stuff going on. Jesus showed up and I am set free. Or I'm in grave clothes and I'm being set free. Come forth is not a suggestion. Roll the stone away is not a suggestion. Remove the grave clothes is not a suggestion. That's a responsibility that you have. He can give you life. If they never took the grave clothes off, Lazarus would be just as alive. If he never said come forth, I think Lazarus would have been just as alive. He'd have been alive in the grave. If they never rolled the stone away, he'd have been just as alive, because Jesus showed up and this is what's going to happen. It didn't matter what any circumstance looked like after that. He showed up, life was there. What's your responsibility? Here's what I've done, now here's what you do. From that point on, his life was changed. Lazarus' life was changed. God has given us the same resurrection life. Everything you need to change your life, to remove the habits, to remove the pains, to remove the hurts, to remove the traditions, the grave clothes, the memories, the justifications. I've got memories. You know, I hear people talk about stuff and it triggers memories. But that's all it is memories. It's not grave clothes anymore. I mean, I can hear people talk about alcoholic parents and how bad this was and how bad that was. And I think I have those memories. They happened, but they don't affect me. It's not grave clothes anymore. Now I walk in resurrection.